Hi, this is Brad with Baker County Trash Pickup. A few big updates for you. If this is the first video you're watching, the short version is, in April of 2024, my wife and I started a trash pickup business in our rural Northeast Florida county when Waste Management announced they were leaving the county. I've got a video linked below that explains the way trash pickup works in our area. If you're somebody who thinks, well, doesn't the city just take care of that? It depends. Trash works differently in a lot of different places. So we started this private waste hauling company so that we could provide services to the folks who were losing it. And I try and make videos at least once a week about the business to try and inform and educate and maybe entertain a little bit. For now, let's look at the current numbers that we have for the business. We have 202 clients with 239 cans placed. When we look at the income or expenses that are generated, we'll look at 1 week's worth of pickup. So for this week, we generated $1,982 of income. Our expenses for this week, fuel was $58.57 for the Isuzu garbage truck. Our truck insurance, that renews in August of 2025, so about a month from now. We have found out that's gone up a couple percent. So last year, the first year we got insurance on the truck, the first year we had the truck, it was just under $10,000 for a year of insurance on it. Now it's just a hair over $10,000. The truck payment itself, we used a home equity line of credit that is an interest-only payment to get this truck. What that means is every month we have to pay a little under $900 in interest. It's going to be up to us to decide when to pay off that balance. If we never pay it off at all, it'll be due when the HELOC matures in, I think, 10 or 11 years from now. But obviously that would be a terrible financial decision. So what we're looking to do is, as soon as we can start sticking some extra payments towards it, that's what we're going to be doing. But when we're in this growth period where we don't have a lot of spare cash to spend on a $3,000 or $4,000 equipment loan payment, it works out really well for us. In the first big update for this week, you see our trailer payment is $0. We finally sold our dump trailer that we started this business with. So again, if this is the first time you're watching, I wanted to get a side load garbage truck, found out they're about $260,000 before taxes for the smallest one you can get, and very quickly was told no by the wife. So we started off with using the truck that you're going to see in a little bit that I already had, and a $15,000 dump trailer. Now, whenever I went to get the trailer, it had to be orange. It had to have 2-foot sides. I couldn't really shop around for the best price because what I wanted was so specific. There was only one company local to me that had it. It was also at a time when equipment prices were up a little. Looks like new dump trailers nowadays are selling for about $10s. So it definitely wasn't a bargain purchase, but I had to have it because it was May and I was starting to pick trash up in June. So I needed a dump trailer in order to do that. That's what we started the business with. Once I hit 50 or 60 clients, I realized the dump trailer was not going to work long term, especially because I was having to add liners to all our garbage cans because we were collecting things manually. The sides of the dump trailer were 2 feet tall, but they were pretty far off the ground, so it's not like I only had to lift it up 2 feet to dump it. So tipping the cans to empty them was not an option either. Those liners I couldn't find cheaper than 75 cents a piece. So when you do the math on that, if you've got 200 cans out and you're having to put a 75-cent liner in each one, at a certain point, it almost makes more sense to go get the garbage truck because not only will the work be easier, but you're not going to be spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month on can liners. So once we got the truck August of last year, the dump trailer really just sat. We ended up loaning it out for disaster relief. Through that process, I got in touch with some folks who wanted the equipment and was able to sell it to them after. So ended up selling it for $5,300. It was one of those things where it was down south and there was someone who was interested in it. When I thought about the cost and time of getting it back up here, what would I be able to sell it for, having to list it, having to deal with folks on Facebook Marketplace, the fact that you can get a brand new one local to me for $10,000. You know, I'm thinking best case, maybe I could get 6 or 7. Kind of just made sense for me to say, you know what, I just want it gone. It covered the payoff amount. I think there was about $4,900 left on the note. So I got paid. I turned around and paid the loan off and had a couple extra $100. So definitely not something I made money on, but that's okay. It got our business started. It was there at the beginning when we needed it, and there just wasn't any use for it. So there's no sense in hanging on to it. I've also made another video about why I don't do bulk pickups, which a lot of folks said, no, keep the trailer, the dump trailer, in case you need to do work with it or as a backup to the garbage truck. There's a variety of reasons why neither of those choices will work for us. With as many people as we have now, a dump trailer is not going to be a backup for us. We would just have to get another garbage truck. Whoa, I don't know if the thunder came over the microphone, but we're going to have a storm here. And that completely made me lose my train of thought. Well, we were talking about the trailer. It's gone now. So where the trailer payment used to be, I think it was $8 something a month. So it was $200 something a week. Now we don't have to worry about that anymore. So when we look at our income for the week and subtract out those expenses, we've made a profit. I'm doing air quotes, a profit of almost $1,500. The reason I'm doing air quotes is I don't want you to think, I actually had somebody say, I watched one of your videos and said you made like $1,400 in a week. That's crazy. The thing I try and stress on every one of these videos, we really aren't making that much money. Kendall and I are not paying ourselves at all from this business. We haven't for the first year. We're probably not going to be able to for the second year. Hopefully in 2026, we will be able to start paying ourselves. But we've just been living off savings. So when I say we made $1,500, this is very simple, generic math to show you some measuring points of the business. It doesn't mean we're putting any of that money in our pocket. It's going to pay off cans. You know, we've spent, I think the 400 cans that we've purchased, maybe $28,000 for those. We've got the garbage truck. We've got, you're going to see me putting stickers on the truck. That was $1,000 to do that. A month or two ago, I put a suspension seat on the Isuzu for my wife since she's the one who drives it and she's in the truck so long. I wanted her to have a nice seat. That's $1,800. So there's all these things that pop up. Everything we make goes right back into the business. Now we're finally getting to a point where we've got some cash stockpiled in the business account. But again, we're not using that for ourselves. That's just sitting in the business account if an emergency pops up, like we need to go rent a garbage truck for a month because ours explodes or something like that. We'll have some cash to work with. So again, when you see $1,500 in 1 week, please, please, please do not do the math and say, they're making like 75 grand a year. No, we're not making anything a year right now. It's going to be a while before we make any money off of this. Which might lead to a follow-up question, well, how are you living? I am a very disciplined saver. I have had several years where YouTube treated myself and my family very well with the views that we got and therefore the revenue that we made. I would say 60% of that money I saved in an account. The other thing that gave us a cushion of cash to live on was selling everything from Copper Creek Cuts. So there was quite a bit of equipment that went with that. Some of them were fairly high-ticket items. And we try and live very simply. We don't spend a lot of money beyond our basic needs. We don't do vacations. So we're in a position where without any income, we're still going to be okay for a while. So the second big change that we made, we split our route. We finally did it. So for a long time, we were doing one extremely long day. I would wake up at 2:30 in the morning. Kendall would get up at 3, and we would be out the door by 3:30 a.m. As our route grew, we stayed out later and later, but I think the last time we did it, we got back right around 3:30 p.m. So we were pretty close to a 12-hour day there. And that was pretty difficult. Our Sunday nights had to be extremely early in bed, 7 or 8. We needed to go to sleep. We tried that new seat in the Isuzu. That didn't fix Kendall feeling bad, from being in the truck for so long. So we decided that we needed to go ahead and split the route. We couldn't have fit too much more in that day. It would have made it a lot more miserable. So long term, this makes a lot more sense. It's easier. We've only done it for 2 weeks, but we both like it a lot more, and there's a lot more room for new customers. I wanted to actually show you our route so you could kind of get an idea of how we split it up. So I'm going to zoom out. This is McClenny, which is the city that I live in. If we go out a little further, this area here, and there's no boundaries, so it's tough to see. But this is Baker County, Florida. You can kind of see how there's nothing but forest over here. This is the Osceola National Forest. So there's not a lot going on where we live. I'm going to turn that satellite off. It's a little bit more difficult to see. Way down here is the landfill. It takes about 15 or 20 minutes to get to. But what we have is roughly a circle. Our home is somewhere around here, and when we start out, we get this area here, and then we come up here, and we get these guys, and then we come down this road and get these guys here. We get a couple here. We get these two, which this is a good example of homes that I shouldn't have, but I picked up hoping I could get the homes next to them, and I just haven't. But I don't want to drop anybody. If all you cared about was being as efficient as possible, these are ones that you would go ahead and clip out. And you can kind of tell that too when you say, yeah, there's two in the middle of nowhere. That's not good. Then this little town is Glen St. Mary. Once you get all the Glen St. Mary ones, we go south here, pick up these two, come back up. We work our way over this way, come around here, and then we go down here. That's what the day looked like. We had to have 2 trips to the landfill because this was way too much trash for just one trip. What we did, this giant chunk here, which is about 80-something people, we carved that out. That's our second day. So our first day, we still drive pretty much the same route. We start here, get all these guys, go here. The difference is we skip all this and just go right to work in these things. That's our first day. And then our second day is all these things right here. This routing software is Jobber. This is the home service business software that we use to run the company. And it's nice because you can adjust these however you want. You can have Jobber optimize it. But when we get in the truck and pull up our mobile phone, we don't have to wonder, oh, first it's Mr. Jones, and then who was it next? Was it Miss Mary or was it Mr. Thompson? And what's their address? And how do we get there? The app tells you, because it knows the order that I want them in, it tells you this is your next stop, then you're going to go here, then you're going to go here. And you can GPS mark when you show up, which is really nice because we've had people say, hey, I put my can out and you never picked it up. We can say, well, actually, we did come by your place. It was 4 in the morning and the can wasn't out. So there's a lot of good stuff this Jobber software lets you do. If you want to try it, as always, there's a link in the description where you can get a free trial and then a discount afterwards. If you have a home service business, I strongly think you need some kind of software. Whether it's Jobber or not is up to you, but you really do owe it to yourself to try something because having software will save you so much time and energy, and in some cases it will save you money as well. So if you haven't yet and you want to, be sure and check it out. So our new start time is 6 a.m. Day 1 last week, we were at 6 a.m. till 1 p.m. That was a 7-hour workday. And then the second day, we got out of the house a couple minutes later, 6 to 11:30. So that was 5.5 hours. Since there's 2 of us, that means 12.5 hours of work for the week or 25 man hours. If we take the profit we made and divided it by 25 man hours, that means Kendall and I each made about $59.50 per hour. That's up $4 from last week. It should have been up a lot more because we sold the trailer, but we went from, I think, 22.5 or 23 man hours to 25. So yes, we did make more money, but we also worked more time. So that's why there wasn't a big increase. Again, we aren't actually making $59 an hour. We aren't making anything. These are just round numbers to hopefully inform, educate you if you're looking to start a business, if you're looking to start a trash pickup business. I think these numbers can be helpful because I don't see anybody else on YouTube giving this transparent a look at their home service business. This week was not our heaviest. We dumped 9,640 pounds, which would have cost us about $145. But where we live, the county picks up the tab for the landfill. And that's because we are in a very unique situation where the local landfill is a tri-county agreement where there's 3 member counties that all work towards keeping that thing running. One of them is the county that I live in, and part of that agreement says any trash that residents generate, the county government has to pick up the bill, which is really nice for us because tipping fees is one of the largest expenses in any trash pickup business, and we don't have that, at least with this weekly municipal solid waste that we collect. Stickering the truck is something that I've been wanting to do a while. I didn't make the decision at any point in 2024 or early 2025 because at some points I was still running Copper Creek cuts. I was still mowing lawns. And it wasn't until I think February of this year I said I'm going to shut down Copper Creek cuts. So I didn't want to, if I was still mowing lawns, have the trash pickup stickers on. So it made sense to go ahead and wrap the truck, especially because this is what I use to drop folks' cans off. I normally like to have 8 cans in the back and kind of just keep them stocked up that way, so it always looks like I've got a full supply of cans. I think it's one of those things that it's just a marketing gimmick. It's going to definitely pull eyes, the black truck and the orange. I almost always mess up these decals when I put them on. There's always bubbles left. I'm not an expert by any means. I know how to do it. I just can't do it well. That's the stage of skill that I have when it comes to stickers. I did a 5x10 enclosed trailer for Copper Creek cuts. I actually did it twice. I did the Chevy Colorado. I've done the dump trailer. I've done now this truck. I've done the garbage truck. So I've done plenty of vinyl decals. I'm always up for the challenge of doing it. It's one of those things that if you look close, you're going to see a lot of mistakes. But thankfully, nobody really looks that close. So what are you going to do? All right, that's what the business is looking like as we head into July of 2025. If you have any questions, the best way to get a hold of me is shooting me an email. And a lot of the questions that I get, I've already answered in some video somewhere. So it'll be a lot more helpful to me if you can email me your questions, because then I can either answer them or direct you to videos that go real in depth for all those things. So I definitely want to hear from you. Just shoot me an email. That should be in the description as well, or on our business website. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it.